Welcome to the second class on fractions. In the last class, we covered what fractions are. We looked at how a fraction looks. It is basically composed of the numerator and the denominator, and when the numerators and denominators are integers, we call this fraction as a simple fraction. Some examples are 1 by 8, 2 by 6, 3 by 19, etc. When these are fractions in itself, they are called complex fractions. When a is a fraction, b is a fraction, and a by b is given as a complex fraction. So that segregation we uh, talked about that in the previous class. So a quick recap into the important points from the last class was, firstly, what are proper and improper fractions. So given a fraction a by b, if the numerator was less than the denominator, it was termed as a proper fraction, and if it was greater than the denominator, it was called a improper fraction. To make a improper fraction to a proper form, we introduced the concept of mixed fractions, which basically consisted of an integral part and a fraction part. So the conversion from mixed and improper fractions was like this. So you had a into c and you added b to that, and you divided the entire term by c. This was the conversion from a mixed fraction to an improper fraction. And similarly, from an improper fraction, you just needed to divide this. The quotient part would form the integral part here, and the remainder by the divisor would form the mixed part. Correct? So that's what we looked into in the previous class. We then also studied an important concept, which is basically a key concept while coming to fraction, and that was reducing fractions. So given a fraction a by b, we needed to reduce this fraction into its lowest form. So how do we do that? We basically use two different methods. One was the HCF method, where the HCF of a and b, the numerator and denominator, were computed, and the numerator and the denominator were divided by the HCF, and we got the uh, lowest form. For example, 2 by 4, the HCF was 2, so dividing the numerator by 2 and the denominator by 2, we got 1 by 2. Okay. The other method was to write down the prime factors of a and b. So basically breaking down a into its prime factor components and so on, and similarly breaking down b into its prime factor components as well. And then we followed off with cancellations, and the remaining terms were the lowest forms. Okay, so we did till here in the previous class. In today's class, we will continue this concept and we will look into further segregations of fractions. So firstly, let us start with like fractions. Now, this is not a Facebook like or something like that. It's basically when a set of fractions, suppose a by b, c by d, e by f, and so on, a set of fractions are given, right? So when the denominators b, d, f, they are equal, the denominators are equal, we term that set of fractions to be like fractions. And similarly, it's not tough to guess if b, d, f, they are not equal, if the denominators are unequal, in that case it would form a unlike fraction. So when the denominator is same, you have like fractions, and when they're different, you have unlike fractions. Examples are 1 by 8, 2 by 8, 8 by 8. They're all like fractions because the denominator is same. Whereas 1 by 8, 2 by 6, 3 by 18, they are unlike fractions because the denominators are different. Now, this classification is very important because this will be used in order to do a lot of fraction arithmetic. Firstly, let us look into the most important implication from this. What is the most important implication from this? See, how do we compare fractions, right? So basically, first let us look at how to convert an unlike fraction into a like fraction. Let us first look into that. Unlike to like. So let us consider two examples. So the first example is, suppose you have 3 by 4, you have 3 by 5, you you have 7 by 8, you have 9 by 16. Correct. So as you can see from the denominators, they are unlike fractions. Now in order to convert them into like fractions, the first step is to find the LCM of the denominators. I guess you guys remember how to find the LCM. So LCM is basically computed like this. I will show an example. So this can be divided by 4. So 1, 5, 2 and 4. And this can be divided by 5. And these can be divided by, so the LCM is 80. Right. So now after you have computed the LCM, the job is fairly simple. You need to multiply the denominator with a number such that the final form, in the final form the denominator is 80. So in the first fraction 4 into 20 would be 80, and so you need to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same term in order to keep the fraction value same, right? So this is 60 by 80. Basically this is on reduction, that will be 3 by 4. So in the previous class you learned how to reduce a fraction. Now you learn how to make a fraction into a desired form. Okay, so you desire a denominator of 80. So in order to do that, you multiplied these two with a term so as to make the denominator 80. Basically this term is LCM by the denominator. Okay, yeah. So similarly let us convert 3 by 5. 3 by 5, in order to make the denominator 80, you need to multiply the fraction by 16. So this becomes 48 by 80. Similarly 7 by 8, this is fairly simple. This can be written as 70 by 80. And 9 by 6, so 16 into 5, so 9 into 5. So that is basically 45 by 80. So now you see that the fractions 60 by 80, 48 by 80, 70 by 80 and 45 by 80, they are now like fractions. Correct, they are now like fractions. Now what is the implication of converting? Why do you need to convert firstly? So you see that when I give you these 4 fractions, it is very difficult for you to tell me which fraction is the highest in value and which fraction is the lowest in value if you don't know the individual values or you don't compute the individual values separately. But you don't need to compute everything for this purpose. What you need to do is convert them into like fractions. Now see, that denominator is same, right? So the greatest numerator will be the greatest term. So 70 by 80 in this case is the greatest term because you have the same, you are dividing numbers by the same term, right? So let us suppose that there was no 80. So in this case 60 is divided by 1, 48 is divided by 1, 70 is divided by 1 and 45 is divided by 1. So in this case how do you tackle this? See, now to know the maximum number is fairly simple. If you need to write the descending order, it's basically 70, 60, 48 and 45. So this is same. So when you have the same denominators, you can consider the denominator to be 1. Just arrange in the order of the numerator, right? But here you could not do that because the numerators and the denominators were different. So as long as you don't have a common criteria, so now converting this into like fraction becomes simple, and these denominator terms are reduced into or transformed into desired criteria because they have all the same form, 80, 80, 80 and 80. So they are all equal. So now you can just write the numerators in whatever form. If the fractions are to be arranged in ascending order, write the numerators in ascending order. If they are wanting in descending order, write the descending order. So the fractions will be 70 by 80, 60 by 80, 48 by 80 and 45 by 80. So this is one of the implications of converting a unlike fraction into like fraction. Okay, there's an alternate method. The alternate method is basically when you have 3 by 4, 3 by 5, 7 by 8 and 9 by 16. What you do is this, again this is very simple. See, we made the denominators equal, right? This is a classic standard procedure of converting a fraction into a like fraction. But you can very well convert the numerator into the same form. If we convert the numerator, the method is fairly simple. You need to find the LCM of the numerators. So once you find the LCM of the numerators, you will just have, suppose the numerator, it comes to something like, it will come as 63. So 3 into 31 and then 3 into 31 and then 7 into 9 and 9 into 7. So they are 63. So this will be 4 into 63, this will be 5 into 31, this will be 8 into uh, 9, and this will be 16 into 7, right? You're basically making the numerators equal. What will happen in this case? Let me show you a simplified example. Suppose you have 2 by 4, you have 2 by 2, you have 2 by 6, you have 2 by 8. Now see, when you divide a number with a denominator, the larger the denominator, the smaller is the number. So this is half, this is 1, this is 1 by 3, this is 1 by 4. Correct? So 1 is the greatest because the denominator is the lowest. Then you have half because the denominator is second highest. Then you have 1 by 6, that is 1 by 3 here. And then you have 1 by 4. Right? So you can figure out the order from here as well. So I would suggest go with the standard procedure of converting a unlike fraction into a like fraction. But you can do it in the numerator form as well. If it is specified in the question paper, just you need to remember that you need to standardize only either the numerator or the denominator, right? Not both. You standardize either the denominator or you standardize the numerator, convert them into a single value, and likewise find the, it will be easy to find the comparisons, right? Okay. Now the next thing, okay, so there is a short trick for comparing two fractions. So these are for n number of fractions, right? But when you are given just two fractions, a by b and c by d, do you need to do this? Do you need to actually find, firstly convert this into like fractions and then find, then compare them basically? So given two fractions, you don't need to do that. A simple method is cross multiply, right? So AD and BC. So if AD is greater than BC, what that does mean? So A by B is greater than C by D. So in this case, if you cross multiply, this will be AD greater than BC. So just given two fractions, multiply a numerator with another denominator and do the same thing with the other half. So you will get AD and BC. So if AD is greater than BC, then A by B is greater than C by D and vice versa. So if this is less than, this is also less than. Okay. So that's it. Okay. So the next topic is, this ends this topic. We are done with comparisons. I urge you to do some sums in order to, we'll tackle the sums in the next class as well, but I urge you to do some sums from this domain. Okay, so let me select a different color. Now inserting fractions. This is the next topic. So suppose you are given two fractions. Let's say you're given two fractions and you are said, you are asked to insert a third fraction in between these two fractions. So what does the question basically mean? It means that you have this value 1 by 2. Let's plot it on the number line. You have a 1 by 2, you have a 3 by 5, right? So you need to plot a fraction somewhere here, somewhere in between this point. It can be here, it can be here, it can be anywhere. So for simplicity, I am taking it to be here. Okay. You need a fraction a by b which is greater than half and is less than 3 by 5. So you need to insert a fraction in between half and 3 by 5. So different books will tell you different type of techniques basically in order to do that. But the simplest technique is, when you are asked to insert a fraction in between the two fractions, just use what information you already have. So you have this information 1 by 2, you have this information 3 by 5. So the resulting fraction would be, just do this, right? Take 1, take 3, add them, take 2, take 5, add them. You have the result. So 1 plus 3 is 4 and 2 plus 5 is 7. And this is 3 by 5, right? So it's as simple as that. So when you are given two fractions, you are asked to insert a third fraction in between. What you need to do is add up the numerators, add up the denominators. The numerator sum by the denominator sum is your third fraction. Okay, right. Now see, in order to confirm, this is somewhere around 0.5 and this is somewhere around 0.8, right? It's 0.6, sorry. And this is somewhere in the range 0.54 to 0.56. So this is basically in between these two. So you can use a calculator and figure out the values. You will see that this fraction actually lies in between both of them. Okay, this is also called the ballparking technique, where we, so see, I didn't use a calculator, but I know how to give an approximate value. You don't need the actual value, you just need to know that whether this lies in the range or not. Okay, yeah, so done. Now this question can get tricky, so they don't always ask you to insert a just single fraction. So you have the same question, suppose you have 1 by 2 and 3 by 5, and now they ask you to, suppose, insert 3 fractions in between them. So you need 3 fractions. So how do you approach this? The approach is similar. Firstly, you insert one fraction, that's basically this. Now you have 3 fractions and you need to do the same process. Insert one fraction here, one fraction here, right? So you have 1 by 2, you have 4 by 7 here, so add up, and also you have 3 by 5 here, add them up, right? So now you have 3 fractions, and you can very well check out this thing as well. They will be in range, correct? What did I do? Firstly, I inserted a third fraction. Now this is basically reduced to two different questions, 1 by 4 and 4 by 7. Then you have 4 by 7 and 3 by 5. You need to insert 1 fractions here, right? So I did this, right? You rewind the video if you didn't watch. I will do a quick recap. So this is there. Insert the first fraction. Now insert one fraction in between this and insert one fraction in between this. You will get your answer, correct? Okay. Now you will get some sums from this concept as well. This is an important concept. You need to know this very well, and it should be at your fingertips, because this generally takes a lot of time if you don't know the proper short trick, right? So this short trick is actually accepted in your board exams. It's not just I'm doing it for just generating the values. It is actually accepted in your exam papers. If you write it this way, they will give you the entirety of the marks. Okay. Now let us look into fraction algebra. Now this is fairly simple. This is nothing very complicated. So we'll look at 4 basic operations: so addition and subtraction. These will cover a single subdomain, and the next will be multiplication and division. So let us start with addition and subtraction. So given two fractions a by b and c by d, if you are told to add them up and if you are told to subtract them, you can't just subtract you cannot just add up the numerators and the denominators and that's the answer. No, that was in this case, right? But not in this case. Algebra is different, right? So what you need to do is, firstly, when you are adding two fractions, compute the LCM of two fractions, right? The two denominators b and d, correct? Now multiply a with LCM by b and multiply c with LCM by a, right? And you will get your answer, correct? Similarly, here find the LCM of b and d, multiply a with LCM by b minus c into LCM by d. Now this may look complicated, but it actually is not such complicated. It's fairly simple. Let us actually take an example and understand this better. Okay. Okay. Let me take this example. Here. Here. So suppose you have 5 by 7 and you have 1 by 4. These are the two fractions. Now they said that subtract this fraction. How do you do it? See, firstly, 4 by 3 is not the answer. 5 minus 1, 7 minus 4, this is not the answer. This is wrong, sorry. This is wrong, right? So what is the correct approach? Find the LCM of 7 and 4. What is the LCM of 7 and 4? It's 28 basically. So 28 is your denominator. Now, how much is 28 by 7? So what you do is, you do the similar thing when you did as you did in your like fraction thing. Convert this into, in order to convert this into a like fraction, you would have multiplied 7 by 4. So 5 into 4, right? And you have 4 here, so divide 28 by 4, you have 7, right? So you have 20 minus 7 by 28, that is basically 13 by 28, and not 4 by 3, of course. So I hope this is clear. Just figure out the LCM, that becomes the denominator. Now that this denominator multiply with such a number such that it becomes 28, you do that here, and here you have 4, so 28 by 4, 7, so this into 7, right? And then compute the value. Fairly simple, right? Now coming to multiplication and division. One more thing, addition is just the same thing. If they had asked you to do this, you have basically done this. Okay. Now multiplication and division. So you have a by b, you have c by d. This is fairly simple. This is the most simplest thing you will deal with fractions. Just do a into c and b into d. Cancel out the common terms if there are any and reduce it into the lowest form. Suppose k by n. Right? Let me show you an example. Suppose you have 8 by 9 into 3 by 6, right? So what you do is just multiply them straight off. You have this. Now this is one form, but this is not the lowest form. In order to convert it into a lowest form, before multiplying, cancel off the equal terms, right? So 3 and 3 goes. You also have 4 and 3. So this is basically 4 by 9. This form is the same thing. 6 into 4 and 6 into 9, right? 4 by 9. Correct. Similarly, now when you are told to divide a by b divided by c by d, correct? When you are asked to do this, just multiply the reciprocal of the second fraction, a by b into d by c, right? So division, in order to change this division into, just multiply these terms, just reciprocate these terms. Okay, suppose you have 8 by 6 to be divided by uh, suppose this. Okay, how do you do this? 8 by 6 into 3 by 60, right? This can be converted to this. Again, cancel out the equal terms, and the lowest form is 1 by 4, right? Okay. Now up till here this was fairly simple. One more thing, one more basic concept is using of off. When you are dealing with multiplications, you need to understand the meaning of off. Now this off is not associated with switching on and switching off. This is different. So suppose they give you 3 by 16 of 2. Now in mathematics, whenever you see this off, you can replace this with a multiplication sign. So 3 by 16 into 2, that is basically 3 by 8, right? If they tell you 1/3 of 18 kgs, what do? You have 1 by 3 into 18, right? So 6 kgs, correct? Right. So this is the concept of off, right? Now let me find a space in my word. Okay. Now with that done, we cannot specifically talk about algebra without mentioning BODMAS, correct? So you know about addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, off, you know about all these things. So you need to know about BODMAS. Now BODMAS is not just an acronym, it basically has a significance in the precedence of the digits that are coming one after the other, right? So B comes first. B stands for bracket. O is for off, multiplication basically, inside the bracket. Then you have division, you have multiplication, you have addition, and you have subtraction, right? And you have all dealt with individual operations and you have understood them, right? But what if they are combined and asked in a question? Suppose, let us say, you have this question: 1 by 3 plus 2 by 9 of 8 by 15 divided by 4 by 9 into 3 by 4 minus half plus 1. Now this can give you a nightmare if you don't remember BODMAS, right? So BODMAS says that first do all the operations that are inside the bracket. So this is inside the bracket. So just add these two terms. How to add these terms? LCM is 27. You have 9 into 3 plus you have 2 into 3, right? Is that so? Is that so? No. You don't have an LCM of 27 when you're dealing with this. The LCM is basically 9. Right? So this is a common mistake. 3 and 9, you just multiply 27. Huh? You can do this, but you need to reduce the term. You don't do that. Just find the LCM properly and then do it. Right? So 3 and 9, the LCM is 9. So 1 into 3 plus 2. Correct? Of 8 by 15 divided by 4 by 9 into 3 by 4 minus half plus 1. Keep it this. Okay. This computation is not yet over. This is basically it is 5 by 9 of. Now this is the difference between of and multiplication. If you have an of and if you have a multiplication, so always proceed left to right. Firstly, that's the point. Always proceed left to right. And when you have a of and when you have a multiplication, first prioritize this of. So of 8 by 15, right, divided by 4 by 9 into 3 by 4 minus half plus 1, right? Now this turns out to be 8 by 27 divided by 4 by 9. Now division will be occurring, so multiply with the reciprocal into 3 by 4. So now these are two multiplication operations, they should occur simultaneously. Then there is a minus half and then there is a plus 1. Okay, so just cancel out the equal terms. Okay, it is reduced to half minus half plus 1, right? Cancel out the terms and your answer is 1, right? This is the implication of BODMAS. If you know the BODMAS correctly and if you always traverse from left to right and remember the priority orders, right? The precedence, and also remember the associativity. So the precedence is BODMAS. They get priority as written in BODMAS, and the associativity is left to right. Right? You start computing from the extreme left, you end at extreme right. Okay, this is the associativity. Okay. Now we have talked about all these terms, but we didn't specifically speak of brackets, right? So brackets. Now, why are brackets specifically used? Is there a proper purpose? Yes, the proper purpose is segregation. So, to differentiate this thing from the entire equation or the entire term, we used a bracket, right? If there was not a bracket, it would basically mean 1 by 3rd plus 2/9 of 8 by 15. So, this operation would have occurred first. So, in order to know that we first need to do this computation followed by of, we need a bracket, right? Now your questions may have a single bracket, it can have a combination of brackets. So firstly let us identify the brackets. So this is a parenthesis. This is a parenthesis. This is a curly bracket. And this is a square bracket. And in collateral terms, you also can call it, in colloquial terms, you can also call it this as the first bracket, this as the second bracket, this as the third bracket. But that is basically specific. They are actually termed as a parenthesis, a curly brace, and a square brace. Okay, that is the naming convention. Okay, another thing, you have this. Suppose you have a bar, right? A bar. So yeah, you have a bar. So let us look at this example. What is the computation? So you guys will tell me, if there wasn't a bar, it would basically mean 7 plus 4 is 13 minus 5. It results in 8, right? It is sorry, it is 11 minus 5. It's 11 minus 5, and this results in 6, right? Right, correct. But here, what you're doing is, you're first doing this computation left to right, obviously, and then you're doing this computation. But many a times we might not need this order, so we will not use a bracket every time. You can specifically write like this. Now this basically means is, first do this computation, and then add 7 to this, right? This is called a bar. That's not very important, but just a term, so you need to know. So let us do one more sum with a combination, and then we'll wrap it up, right? So let us actually bring up all the concepts we learned till far, and let us put that into a question. Okay, it may seem difficult, but if you can solve it, it's well and good, right? So let us not complicate this any further. Yeah, this is a valid question. Okay, let me change the color for answers. Okay, now this is your question. So firstly, you will do things in the bracket, right? So you will do things in the brackets. So 7 minus, this is computed first, so this is 7 minus 2 inside the bracket. You have 6 minus this inside the second bracket. You have 8.5 plus this inside the third bracket, and then you have this, right? This is the first step. Now the second step, compute this sum, right? 6 minus this is 5, right? 6 minus 5, and you have 8.5, and here you have, I have jump stepped here. You would have done it in 2 steps. This would be 6 minus 5, and then you would have, okay, I didn't jump a step. This is the proper way. Okay, I didn't jump a step. Now here, now do this calculation. This is 1, and after it is simplified, just convert these mixed fractions into improper fractions, right? So this becomes 21 by 2, and this becomes 17 by 2. It's a good practice in order to do so. Okay, it's a good practice. So now do this computation. This is basically, you have 19 by 2, right? So now the question is reduced to 21 minus 2 by 19 minus 2. This is 2 by 2, and you have 1. So you see that this is fairly simple if you know BODMAS and you know the associativity rule, which operations to do first. So you start off with this operation, then you do this operation, then you do this operation totally, then you have this entire operation, then you have this operation. Okay, this is how you solve any question. Okay, I urge you to practice more sums related to fractions. So there are more sums where the units are mentioned. They will complicate and look at the thing whether you can deal with units at the same time. So Suppose they give you, you have 6 apples and you draw out uh, 4 apples from them. So what fraction did you bring up? So that is basically 4 by 6. Don't be confused with the wordings, okay? So they can give you questions on salary. So 18,000 is salary, 20% is spent on, okay, you don't know about percentages, I guess, but let us suppose that 3 by 4 is spent on food, right? So how much is remaining? So you need to calculate the thing and give the answer. So there are questions in the later part of your chapters if you go through your books. So I urge you to do that. We have covered a lot using fractions. We covered all the variations of fractions. We covered how to reduce fractions. We covered how to compare fractions. We covered the algebra of fractions. And that is all that you have in fractions. I hope you had fun learning the concepts. Thank you.